rehearsing things that haven't. All of it uninvited. All of it automatic. Not the kind of thinking you choose. Not sitting down with a problem, turning it over carefully, working toward a solution. That kind of thinking is deliberate, useful. What I'm describing is something else. Thinking that runs on its own, that you never asked for, that keeps churning even when you want it to stop. A stream of mental noise that never fully shuts off. You've been living with this noise for so long that you don't even hear it anymore. It's like living next to a highway. After a while, you stop noticing the traffic. You think it's silence, but it's not. Most people go through their entire lives in this state. Not because they're careless or unintelligent, but because no one ever pointed it out. No one ever said, "Have you noticed that your mind never actually stops?" Over 2,600 years ago, someone did notice. The Buddha called this state Uddaka, restlessness, agitation of mind. He placed it among the 5 hindrances, the major obstacles that cloud the mind and block clear seeing. In the Anivarana Sutta, he taught that when these hindrances, sensual desire, ill will, dullness, restlessness, and doubt, are present, the mind cannot function at its best. When they are absent, the factors of awakening arise naturally: mindfulness, investigation, energy, rapture, tranquility, immersion, and equanimity. Uddaka is perhaps the most overlooked of the 5, because it doesn't feel like a problem. It just feels like being alive. Sensual desire, ill will, doubt, those are loud. You feel them. But restlessness, it's the hum of a refrigerator you stopped hearing years ago. Always there, never noticed. And yet it clouds everything. Your ability to see yourself, to see others, to see things as they actually are. Here's what matters. In the Buddha's understanding, this is the default state of an untrained mind. The mind of what he called a puthujjana, an ordinary person. Almost everyone.
People get confused as to what function each religion has. They have different functions, different ways of communicating and explaining its duty to mankind. That's what people forget. Like Buddha is giving you the insights of the human mind, right? The Bible, Christianity, is giving you the flesh ancestry. Gnosticism is giving you the spiritual ancestry. The Vedas is giving you the celestial. Well, that's also with the Greeks, right? And the Romans. Celestial history, right? Then you have Islam, that's giving you the current history, the history between Christ and the time of Muhammad, right? Oh, and different prayers, right? Each thing has its own function. Each one.
Not as a judgment, as a description. Unfiltered water is naturally cloudy. The water isn't broken. It just hasn't been filtered yet. The restlessness you feel is a condition, a habit running for a very long time, so long you've mistaken it for your own nature. And recognizing that is the first step, because you cannot change what you cannot see. Meditation
is a huge part of this. You must meditate on who you are and what's going on at all times, because your mind doesn't stop. You have to be self-aware at all times, because guess what? The mind doesn't stop. So if the mind doesn't stop, you can't stop. That's just how it is. That's just how it is.
So the mind doesn't stop. But why? What exactly is going on in there? The Buddha didn't just observe the restlessness.
Give me some coffee. Get some coffee.
Good morning, what can I get for you today?
Can I get the Coca Cloud latte?
What size would you like that?
Large?
Large? Okay. Are we gonna start an espresso here today?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
That's it.
Alright, I'll get the window.
Alright, thank you. $7. Yeah, the mind doesn't stop. So you can't stop ever being aware. When people say, oh, I wasn't thinking, or I didn't know, or I wasn't paying attention, that's because the mind is going and you are so fixated on how reality already is that you take a back seat and you're in autopilot. And that's what the Matrix wants. The Matrix wants you to be in autopilot, because if you're in autopilot, they can control everything and anything that you're doing. You know, when people say, oh, when I drove home, I didn't even know. Had no idea how I got here. I just autopilot, you know? Should never do that shit. Good morning.
Well, it's gonna be 6:59 when you're in. Thank you. Have an amazing day.
You too. Yeah, you what? You allowed your body to drive you home? No freaking way, dude. No freaking way. You should be always paying attention to what's going on. See, some people say meditate sometimes. You know, meditate for 5 minutes. I would say that's the beginning. The key is to try to stay aware and aware all day long. Pay attention, make the choices. Aware. Right? Feel the feelings. Feel the hate. Feel the love. Feel it. Don't just let that shit don't be on autopilot. Don't do it. Don't. You know? Just don't.
He mapped its inner workings with a precision that still holds up today. And it starts with a Pali word that, once you understand it, you'll see everywhere. Papancha. Papancha is usually translated as mental proliferation, but what it actually describes is messier than that. It's the mind's compulsion to take one tiny moment of experience and spin it into an entire world of stories, judgments, and emotional reactions, all centered around me. In the Madhupindaka Sutta, the Venerable Mahakakana laid out the chain with remarkable clarity. A sense organ meets an object. Consciousness arises. These three come together as contact. From contact, a feeling arises. Pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. What you feel, you perceive. What you perceive, you think about. What you think about, you proliferate. And what you proliferate becomes the source from which, as the Sutta puts it, judgments driven by proliferating perceptions beset a person. That word beset matters. It conveys the sense that the person is overwhelmed and swamped, no longer the agent of their own existence. The person started as the subject, the one feeling, perceiving, thinking. But by the time proliferation takes over, they've become the object, beset, overtaken, trapped inside something they didn't even choose to start. Here's what that looks like in daily life. You're scrolling through your phone. You see a friend's vacation photos from Europe. Light hits your eyes. Contact. A slight discomfort. Feeling. The mind labels it. They're doing better than me. Perception. Then
That's the other thing, like allowing your mind to dictate the reality based off of based off the world's or the matrix definition of success, right? I always say, capitalism was never supposed to encompass food, water, and shelter. People naturally took care of those three things. Naturally. I need food, I'm gonna grow it. I need water, I'm gonna live by a river, or I'm gonna collect rainwater. Or the new way, I'm gonna create a water generating machine. Right? These are things that people took so they took it for granted. So then you had these billionaires and these psychopaths take it over. So now everything is encompassed into that, and then you have to get these people's fiat or IOUs to buy food, water, and shelter. Okay? But we are inundated with the definition of world success versus what real success is in a place where it's bountiful and abundant. Easy.
proliferation takes over. I've wasted years. Why is my life like this? I'm not enough. One photo, 1 second of contact, and the mind has built an entire movie. The whole chain happens faster than you can blink. By the time you notice the story, it already feels like reality. That's exactly what makes Papanka so dangerous. It hides what's actually happening behind a wall.
Remember what Christ said, if a man has faith like a mustard seed and he asks as a mustard seed, and he asks that mountain to move, it will do it. Meaning you control the reality that you're in. And if you're in autopilot, the reality controls you.
Mental commentary, and you mistake the commentary for the truth. This happens hundreds of times a day. One thought becomes two become 10. 10 become a whole world with me at the center. Suffering, wanting, comparing. But Papancha needs fuel, and the Buddha identified that fuel precisely. Vedana, feeling tone. Every moment of sensory contact carries a tone, and the mind reacts to it instantly. It chases what feels good, resists what feels bad, and seeks stimulation when things feel flat. That reaction is tanha, craving. Each reaction produces a thought. Each thought produces a new feeling. Each feeling triggers another reaction.
And this is why I said you should try to be aware at every single moment of the day. Because you get a little thought and you think that's you thinking that. No, that's the matrix that interjected thoughts. So now you just think about crazy stuff all day. Think about this. Think about this. 100 years ago, 200 years ago, right? Before there was TV, before there was newspapers, right? Before there was a widespread of books to the general populace. People did certain things. Do you think that they thought about different stuff? Think about that. Do you think they thought of stuff that they never even thought about? You ever heard somebody when you show them something or tell them something, they be like, "Oh, I ain't never even thought of that," because they were never they never experienced anything to allow them to look at things alternatively. So before there was newspapers, TVs, radio, the print, basically, do you think people just came up with wicked things to do, or was it shown to them? Think about that. It had to be shown to them. Had to be.
Loop sustains itself around and around. And because the senses never stop working, the fuel supply never runs out. This is why the Buddha placed Vedana as one of the 4 foundations of mindfulness in the Satipatthana Sutta. Vedana is the exact point where the chain can be broken. If you can notice the feeling tone, just notice it without automatically reacting. The sequence is interrupted. Contact still happens. Feeling still arises. But without the habitual pull of craving, proliferation loses its fuel. There's one more layer beneath all of this. Among the 5 aggregates that make up human experience, the Buddha identified sankhara, choices, mental formations, as the force that constructs our conditioned reality. In the Kajaniya Sutta, he explained it through a kind of wordplay. Choices are called choices because they produce conditioned phenomena. They shape form into form, feeling into feeling, consciousness into consciousness. Sankhara is a constructing force that never takes a day off. This is what sits beneath a restless mind, a deep impulse that keeps building, keeps reacting, keeps pushing forward, because stopping feels like disappearing. The sense of I depends on constant mental activity. Every thought lays another brick in the wall of me. If that activity stops, the I begins to thin out. And for an untrained mind, that feels like annihilation.
So, in Hermeticism, the Hermetic principles, there is the me and the I. Now, I've come up to a fork in the road where one is talking about the I, becoming the I, and the other one talking about getting rid of the I. Not your eyes, but there's an I and a me within. Like when you're looking at stuff or thinking about stuff, who's observing that? Right? It's the I. Right? Now in Buddhism, they're saying that thing that you're saying is observing stuff, it's not really observing anything. You can't even be it when you're trying to obtain it. It's just a fleeting eye. It's a fleeting perspective. When you try to capture it or think about it or become it. Now in Hermeticism, it talks about becoming that I. And that's what I'm talking about with always being observant. Is becoming that I. Is becoming the I. Buddhism says it dissolves. Hermeticism says become it. And this is what I mean by the fork in the road. Which one is an accurate explanation of what you're doing with this I in me.
So the full picture. A proliferation engine fueled by never-ending feeling, driven by a constructing force afraid of its own stillness, all spinning around a center that needs the spinning in order to feel that it exists. This is not a theory. It's a map. And the more honestly you observe your own experience, the more clearly you'll see that it matches the territory. The question that follows is the one that matters. What is all of this actually costing you? There's something almost invisible about the cost of a restless mind. No bruise, no fever, no obvious wound. But pay...
Alright, so, yeah, man, I just wanted to do a little bit of that in the morning. You have to. You have to be self-aware, conscious of how you're feeling. Even like when I go to work and I'm dealing with these other people or whatever, and you see people that start to power trip or get in their way, it's like you thought you knew, but you don't know what you're doing by acting how you're acting. You're not self-aware, right? But it's not my job to tell anybody how to act, how to move. It's just on me to better myself and be an example of what is possible. You know? That's all it is. I'm done.